Sorry. Who's testifying? Oh, here we go. Good morning. The Council Committee on Finance will come to order. We're here today to have a public hearing regarding Bill number 141027. The chair asks the clerk to please read the bill.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance from time to time of one or more series of general obligation bonds to provide funds to refund certain outstanding general obligation bonds of the City of Philadelphia, authorizing the mayor, city controller, and city solicitor, or a majority of them, to sell the bonds at public or private negotiated sale, setting forth the purposes of which the proceeds of the bonds will be expended, providing for the maturities and for other terms and conditions, and for the form of the bonds, providing that bonds may be redeemable prior to maturity, providing sinking funds for the bonds and for appropriations to the Sinking Fund Commission for the payment thereof, authorizing agreements to provide credit enhancement or payment or liquidity sources for the bonds and certain other actions.
Thank you very much. Chair now recognizes Ms. Nancy Winkler to come and testify, please. City Treasurer.
Good morning, Councilwoman.
Would you please state your name for your record and proceed with the testimony?
Good morning, Chairwoman Tasco and members of the Committee on Finance. I am Nancy Winkler, City Treasurer of the City of Philadelphia, and with me is James Lanham, Deputy Treasurer. I'm here to testify in favor of Bill number 141027. The ordinance would authorize the Office of the City Treasurer to issue up to $700 million of general obligation refunding bonds to refund maturities of any outstanding general obligation bonds, pay issuance costs, and certain other items. This ordinance does not authorize issuing bonds to finance new capital expenditures. The sole purpose is to lower interest rates and reduce debt service burden on the city's general fund. Based on current interest rates, we only anticipating refunding between $150 and $200 million in 2015, although this could change depending on interest rates. In this ordinance, we are seeking a larger authority to refund bonds for savings because we expect them to become economic refunding candidates over the next several years. The rationale for requesting the larger authority is to allow the city in the future to quickly take advantage of favorable low interest rates and issue refunding bonds. This will reduce the risk that the city might miss a window of lower interest rates due to the need to obtain separate ordinance at the very time the opportunity emerges. At the request of City Council staff, we have asked our legal counsel to evaluate our ability to incorporate refunding authorization within future new money authorizations. As stated, in the current market, we have an opportunity to refund certain outstanding series for debt service savings meeting the city's debt policy. The plan of finance is to issue fixed-rate bonds to refund those bonds and any other viable candidates meeting the city's debt policy. Savings realized from a refunding authorized by this ordinance will reduce the debt service costs incurred by the general fund. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you today. I respectfully ask that the committee give this bill its favorable recommendation and request a suspension of the rules to allow for a first reading at the next meeting of City Council. This concludes my testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and good morning.
Good morning.
Just a few questions,
Sure.
and it is my understanding as well, unfortunately, that General Counsel had met with City Council members of this body to go over this ordinance. When was the last time the committee had met over the general obligation bonds? When did they meet? When was the last time they were refunded? Do you know?
We refunded some GO bonds that we had authority to refund last January, I believe. Yeah, last January. And but we didn't have to come to City Council for approval for those bonds because they had already had authorization.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any time moving forward, you wouldn't, if there, you would need authorization? for
We're about out of
something, is that correct?
authorization at this point, yes.
Okay, do you know, is moving forward here, the committee's taken a look at these savings and renegotiating the GO bonds, is there an estimate of the cost savings?
Well, currently,
I think you were saying greater than 3%, right?
Well-
Is there a dollar value to that?
yeah, the city policy does refer to a 3% savings threshold. However, we, over the past several years, have held the refunding criteria to a substantially higher standard than a 3% savings, and that has to do with the current interest rate environment, because when the city sells its new money bonds, it's normal in the municipal bond world for the city for really no cost to obtain a free option to refund the bonds once, to advance refund the bonds once, and that option is extremely valuable. And so the 3% threshold, we don't think adequately values that option, and so we've been waiting and not refunding bonds that have 3% savings because we don't believe it gives the city the full value of its call option. And so we've been very judicious. So we don't, we would not, we run an option value model, and we evaluate the negative arbitrage, and we evaluate the years to the call date as well. And as a result, I believe it's going to produce much more savings for the city over time.
Well, and obviously, that's
Yeah.
fiscally responsible to do that, and it puts us in a...
But to
in a better
answer your
position.
other question, this is just an estimate, and it, so I wouldn't want to be held to it. I'm looking for the summary page. Okay. So right now, the savings that we are thinking for this deal could be $1.5 million a year or more.
And the city has the, I mean, you're constantly monitoring this, so everything is I guess, according to the market, right? And what the call is, what the rates are, and how we proceed. So it doesn't happen often, as you say, but it does happen, right? Where we get a chance for reauthorization to take a look at better rates.
Right. That's right. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank
Is
you.
there anyone else here to testify on this bill? Thank you, Ms. Winkle. We appreciate it very much. That concludes our public hearing. We'll go on to our public meeting. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell to move the, you want a suspension of the rules? Ms. Winkler, Mrs. Winkler, you want a suspension of the rules?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Committee on Finance now reports out Bill number 14102. Oh, sorry. That's what happens when you move too fast.
She's doing something.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry for the distractions. I move that Bill number 141027 be reported out of committee with a favorable recommendation, also recommendations for suspension of the rules so as to permit first reading at our next session of council.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that Bill 141027 be reported out of committee with a favorable recommendation and a request that the rules of council be suspended so this bill can be heard at council's next session. All in favor? Is there any opposition? There being none, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. The next hearing will be on the sick leave bill, and that will start immediate 11:30, and that's the Committee on Public Health and Human Services.